Good morning to day 172. We are slightly windy and slightly cloudy today with a very small chance of rain apparently. The week is looking very similar. Hopefully we've got a little bit of normality back to site today. Obviously we're going to be talking to the guys about coming to work for us direct so we don't have any of this aggro of payments. And today's goal really is getting the pool edge finished. Pool man turned up yesterday and gave us some advice about what he recommends, so we're going to have to adjust to some of the things we've done. We've got to try and get the irrigation tanks and that lot, we've got to get that drained out today. We've got to try and get the water pumped out, and we've got to come up with a solution moving forward, how we ensure that doesn't happen, and how we get the water out if it does. I think we need to tidy up the front room as well. At the moment, with that sand on there, we need to try and get that swept to one side so we can try and get a little bit of clarity in there when it rains, because at the moment if it does rain it just floods and then the sand keeps it damp, which is not good, so we need to move that. We bought some new waterproof yesterday, which is the best stuff apparently on the market, so we're now going to chop over from the garbage that you get from the superstores, Harris, Mortar Bond, SBR I think it's called. Apparently it's garbage. Would have been nice to know that at the beginning of the job rather than at the end of the job. So we've now bought this really good stuff from a guy. We're going to swap that over now, and all the actual plastering and any form of concrete we're going to do from now on is going to have that involved. We've got to get up on the roofs obviously and make sure that everything's smocked properly. All the lines are pulled with regards to the flows for the water, so as and when the concrete company come, they know where to smooth and where to run and how deep. So we need to get that done at some stage today. We need to have a general tidy up. We've also got to go around and any form of concrete that's sticking out, give you an example, anything that's actually sticking out we've been chiseling off, as you can see on the floor. But yeah, stuff like this, like because of the actual piece they're ridden, it needs to be chiseled back. So again, anybody that's having work done here, you need to make sure the formwork is properly screwed into the wall so you don't actually get the pressure of the concrete pushing the formwork away, because the aggro that it's caused thereafter is just not worth the aggro. So we also need to get one of the windows out today and try and have a go at fitting it. We need to try and have a go at fitting one of the windows just so we can actually see how straightforward that's going to be. The plan at the moment is I've actually copied all of the tradespeople that are on the job, certainly from a contracting point of view, into a WhatsApp group last night where we're going to try and build a plan, because we've got 2 to 3 weeks of hard process-driven drive that we're going to need to have, otherwise we're just not going to get this livable by Christmas. One of the things obviously we need to do is ensure that from the roof pour, how can we try and pull the roof formwork down, get the jacks back up, get some temporary lighting in, and then enable all those tradespeople to try and go in one after another and with each other to try and get done what they need to do. So yeah, the group itself was sort of formed to try and get people in sync. So as of the 4th, which is this Saturday, if that's going to date we're going to pour, we've got a 3-day curing period for the concrete, which means we can start potentially taking some of the jacks down, we can take the formwork down, we put the jacks back up, we'll get some temporary lighting in there, and then the guy that's going to do all of the actual partition walling, he can come in and start cracking on with that. The electricians can come behind, plumbers can come behind and start putting their conduit and their wiring through the walls. He can then start insulating and boarding one side. They can start drilling holes through, putting their cables through. He can then board the other side. The cables then come through the other side. So it's trying to get it actually working in uniform is going to be really important. At the same time, obviously, we don't want plasterboard going on without windows going in, and I don't want the windows going in until really we finish doing some of the plastering. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But we need the windows going in probably 3, 4, 5 days after the pour's happened, so that we can start sealing the building and drying the building out. Yeah, so that we've got a guy that's actually on contract to do the doors. We've got a guy that's on contract to do all the partition walling and the plasterboarding, as well as the skimming and the painting. We've also got somebody else that's going to be doing all the electrics and the plumbing. We've got someone that's going to be doing the pool. We've got someone that's going to be building the wardrobes and fitting those in, and all of those guys have got to strategically try and work around each other and with each other to ensure that obviously they're not holding each other up and they're enabling each other to move along. And all of this hinges on getting this bloody roof poured on Saturday. So as long as the roof goes in and gets poured and goes as swimmingly as possible, then we're good to try and build this plan. So everybody sees the building and says there's no way you're going to be living in it by Christmas. But the fact of the matter is, if we get good people and those good people liaise with each other properly, then there's no reason why we couldn't do that. Once the boarding starts taking place, obviously we need to start looking at getting the kitchen fitted, start getting the bathrooms fitted. So in order for me to live in this, I need a kitchen and bathrooms, and they can't go in obviously until certain parts of the water and electrics are done and certain parts of the boarding, etc. is done. So the kitchen's reasonably basic, and I can probably start getting that installed at the same time as the boarding going in. But the bathrooms, for instance, morning guys, the bathrooms, for instance, I can't really start doing those until the walls are in, with the water's connected. But again, so they're the things at the moment I can definitely get involved in with a team of people. So I'm heavily reliant at the moment on the guys fitting the windows, doing the drywalling, and the electrics and mechanical. They're the main things that are going to help the rest of the job move on, and me try and gather some pace if possible. There's another guy as well on the on the kitchen front that's meant to be trying to come here at some point to try and talk to me about fitting the kitchen and providing the worktops. I'm still trying to pin him down on site, but he seems a good guy. He's local as well. So it looks like we've got about 8 contractors that are going to be key on trying to get this driven forward. And today is really essential to try and get those guys moving. At the same time, the other thing I'm going to be doing as well, as you know yesterday from my little frustrated video about the contractor just letting the guys down with regards to payment, we're taking those guys back on again. I'm going to be putting everyone online. I'm sure these badgers are going to think what the hell's going on. But we've got an online system in England where I can get everybody registered. They can clock in and out. It automates what they've earned and what they're due. So I'm going to try and get everybody on that today. But I think it being online and it being email driven is going to cause a few problems, but it has to happen. And on top of that, they're normally used to getting paid weekly. That's not going to happen either. It's going to be a week in arrears. That's how things work. So there's going to be some behaviour changes today, which won't make people absolutely amazingly happy, but at the same time it means we can remove the inconsistent payments, we can get everybody accurate, and we can also control what the hell's going on and who's going to get what and when they're going to get it. So that's what we're going to do today. That's going to be the main aim. Other than that, it's still waiting for Saturday and hopefully a cancellation, which this week is a bank holiday and also Independence Day, so we lose 2 days this week from a normality point of view. These guys obviously will continue working, but it does mean that the chance of getting a cancellation on the roof is bordering on nil, unfortunately. But other than that, let's get these guys into a meeting. Let's discuss what we're going to do, and let's try and drive the process and control what we're due to do, so we can rinse every minute out of December. That's for sure. 12:15. Bit of a general tidying up and finishing off day today. The office is now set up in the container. The guys have been in here doing a little bit of work. Try and keep the actual camera on my face today if I can. Not that even wants to see it. So I've asked the guys just to get the sand up in here, just so that if it does rain we don't get dampness in here forever. So that's obviously started. We don't need it completely up obviously, because we need it to dry out and do what it's got to do. The guys have all been up on the roof as well, which is good news. They're up on the roof making sure that the smocks are in place, rebar's done, crap is off the roof so we don't concrete it into the floor. Some of the carpenters were working on the pool, so I'm not too sure if they carried on with that today or not. I think they're going to leave it where it is. So they pumped the water out. As you know, there was a big old puddle in here, so that's now gone. They've decided to leave the formwork up and pour to the line, so we're going to have to pull the line around and make a mark on there to ensure we don't land up pouring to the wrong line, because that would be absolutely disastrous. Water inside, I don't know where that's coming from. What have we got here? Rust. That is. Seems to be like a rusty sort of material on the floor. I'm not too sure what that is. I don't even know where this water has even come from. Need to get that swept out sooner rather than later. Seems to be rust of some sort. Unless it's, yeah, very strange. Okay, we'll get that swept out in a minute. Still got bits and bobs everywhere, so we need to get swept up. The timber's now out here and dried, so we need to get that stacked properly and covered with some DPM. The beams are in, the pipes are in. Need to double check that the starter bars have gone in here as well. As we said, the step is done, so that's just now waiting for pour, which is amazing. We need to get rid of these. We've got to box that up and pour that and plaster that, which hasn't been done. We've got the first manhole to height blocked up and plastered. We need to do the same with this one. That one's been done. We've got obviously one over here and one over there. They've got to be done as well. We've got to pull a line all the way around the building as to where the mains water is going to go. It's going to go about 2 to 3 inches under the soil surface, so it looks like we may, apart from that pile just there, we should get away with not having to do any digging. It should hopefully go around the wall without having to do anything, and then we can backfill afterwards, but we'll get it attached to the wall. Everything else is pretty much as it is, really. There's nothing really else to do. Obviously, we've still got loads of little things to do, obviously, things like plastering the wall there and etc. But the main thing I've said to the guys, we need to literally get everything ready. This week has got to be spent on getting this roof and that roof 100% ready for pour. 100%. So, fingers crossed, that's what they've been doing. I've been busy trying to get the container everything sorted out, get the materials ordered and get everybody set up on payroll. So, hopefully they'll get the rest done. Also quite keen to see how much of the water they managed to get out of the basement yesterday, because that was pretty bad down there. So it seems to be still quite a bit down there, so I thought they were going to sweep that and pump that. Yeah, still not looking great down there. I'm going to get some fixer foam later on as well from Koymans and start filling all the gaps I can see. I'm just going to fill with fixer foam. It's the only thing I could think of. Also on top of that, the forecast says there's chances of spots of rain this week. So we really need to, number one, the formwork absolutely essentially needs us to pour, because the formwork just blows and starts going all horrible. And two, we can't afford to have any more water coming through into the basement. So it really is going to be essential that we get poured on Saturday. So if I can get the actual fixer foam and start spraying some of the gaps, it may help us fight off the elements which potentially could be coming again this week, unfortunately. It's always typical. We build a building, materials go up, labour gets scarce, weather changes. Anything else? Hopefully not. Anyway, I'll update you a bit later on. Okay, we are just gone 4:45. The guys have been snagging again today. So the beam is in the pool. The wood is still on the floor. Still need to get that wood covered up. So I need to talk to them very quickly about that, that's for sure. Steps are ready to go. Jacks have been pushed up today. Sand has been taken up a little bit. So we have made some movement today, that's for sure. Let me show you around the other parts. Other than that, it's literally, we've been in here tightening all the jacks today. We've got to go, as I said, in the gaps. We've got to try and get the expanding foam in there. So that's one thing we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to go and buy some more. We've also started on the front pipes as well. So we have the George the plumber's been out and actually run the pipe work into where it's going to need to go. We'll probably have to put a 45 on there for argument's sake. And then we need to then, as you can see, the holes that are being dug here and here, that's to support the pipe itself. So this length is going to come out of this one here, all the way down into this one. And then eventually we'll bust out at this side once we know the actual levels. And again, we'll follow the flow this way and go all the way over to the other manhole, which is located over there. So yeah, that's the next part. Supporting up, doing the concrete blocks, make sure the pipe is actually completely concreted and supported. That one there is definitely going uphill, so that is definitely not going to work. That one's not looking too pretty as well. One on the top there, so that's going to have to change as well. But that one, I would say, without getting down and having a look right on it, that's definitely going uphill. So that's going to have to change. Come on, George, sort it out. Not having any more bloody problems with waste, that's for sure. But anyway, the wood has now been stacked properly. The bit on the pool is in, and we need to pull a line around that to make sure we draw whereabouts we're going to be filling with concrete. It won't certainly be up to the top, that's for sure. We've come out with an idea of actually doing our own waterproofing on the pool. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but there is no material for the pools available at the moment. So I think we're going to make our own. Not too sure if that's a good thing or bad thing, but we're going to give it a go. Diamond Bright is called, and there just isn't any on the planet. So if we can actually make our own and avoid the queue, then why not? So a bloody good waterproof, a good amount of concrete, a damn good mason or team of masons, plus the whole thing ourselves with some charcoal concrete to make it black, because that's the finish we want, and then we'll see how it goes. Other than that, manhole to height, that one's got to be done too. That one's been finished. That one's been done. This one's got to be done too, but plastered tomorrow. Other than that, staircase tomorrow, we're going to get a quote to get it done separately. And we've also been working heavily on the roof today. So tomorrow, the day, fingers crossed, we'll finish everything so that Saturday we are full steam ahead.